Hey Bagmaker, I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. Hey everyone, happy Sunday and welcome to Sewcial Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me for the show. As you can see by the empty chair next to me, Danny will be joining me on set in just a minute. He's making sure all the technology is running smoothly before he jumps away from his computer. We have a few things to talk about tonight, including Bag Lab. I see Vanessa's watching, and Alex from Chicago, Constance from Florida, and Kathy from Oregon. So welcome everyone. I have a couple links in the description, but tonight is the show, the Sarah and Danny show and the Bag Lab show. Before we get over to some more topics, the Blazing Star Bag Sew Along is now underway, and weeks 1, 2, and 3 have been posted. The week 1 blog post has been closed out, at least for new photo entries, but I wanted to announce the winner of week 1, and that's number 66, Katie. So congratulations to you, Katie. If you're joining in late or just need a little bit of extra time, you can still post your photo to week 2. Link is in the description for that, and also week 3 just started today. So if you have either your week 2 or week 3 progress photos, you can post those now. For week 2, you have until the end of the day on June 4th to enter your photo, and then for week 3, you have until the end of the day on June 11th to enter your photo. Hello, Danny.
Hello.
Did I leave you enough room? I know I have a big pile of fabric over there.
And a sewing machine.
And a sewing machine. Also, another reminder, the Sew Sweetness June new product drop is coming on June 1st. So if you're not already a newsletter subscriber, you can sign up now. The link to sign up for the newsletter is in the description.
Oh, sorry.
It's a free newsletter, and we generally send a newsletter out.
Sarah, what's a big drop? What is it?
A new product drop.
Such as what?
They'll have to...
You move closer to me.
Move closer to you?
There you go.
All right, that's about as close as I can get. June 1st, the items will be featured in the newsletter, so you still have time to sign up if you're not already a subscriber. All right, so let's get right over to your pick of the week.
Wow, that was quick. My pick of the week is Mary Jo. She made this
Billy
awesome,
Jo.
Oh, I'm sorry, Billy Jo. She made this awesome emblem duffel bag, and that was actually a fireman's, I think, old workwear. I don't know if it's a coat.
Gear. Is it called gear?
Gear,
maybe?
sure. All the above. And you'll see the next picture how she deconstructed it and started planning how to use it. What a wonderful job she did. I think it looks awesome. And I'm sure Sarah remembers something like this on Shark Tank. Do you remember they turned a company into turning old
yeah. Now that you mention it.
gear
but
into...
I think I have to say Billy Jo's bag is a lot.
No, absolutely. I
than...
love it. I think it's such a wonderful idea to recycle something and make it new again. And she emailed us because it was about something else, and I said, this is my pick of the week. She explains that the fireman received it and he loved it, and I can only imagine how much he loved it because it's so unique. It's not like something you can go to the store and pick up,
Yeah, for sure.
Such a wonderful idea. Great job.
And I'm not knocking that Shark
Billy
Tank
Jo.
company because they had amazing stuff as well, but I think, especially looking through Billy Jo's process photos and just picturing just me, myself, like picturing cutting up something like that, kind of made me nervous even just looking at the pictures, trying to decide. What went through my head when I looked at those pictures was I was thinking, wow, I'm not sure how I would decide where to start cutting, like what portion of the uniform or gear to cut out for the bag. The emblem duffel bag is generally a front and back piece, and it's sort of almost an oversized box pouch, kind of, but not really. And so in that aspect, I guess it makes it a little bit easier because you just need to cut out 2 large pieces. But I guess my train of thought is, well, where to start planning on where to cut it out. Debbie says that is so neat. It's called a turnout coat. Oh, thank you. I don't think I would have come
It's
to
funny,
that
I was just
conclusion
by
myself.
my buddy's house who is a fireman for Chicago, and I probably should have asked him the correct terminology. I actually visited him at on the job one time, and he let me put all the gear on. It was so cool. But man, is it heavy. The boots are heavy, the jackets are heavy, the pants are heavy, the helmet's heavy, the oxygen tank is very heavy. I have a lot of respect for firemen. You guys do an amazing job. Without you guys, I couldn't do it. So thank you.
Yeah, again, great job, Billy Joe, and thanks for sharing your photos in our Facebook group. All right, Danny's second favorite part of the show when he's on it, we'd like to invite all the bag makers to stand proud. Let us know in the comments that you're part of the So Sweetness Squad, and we really appreciate, I saw Laura mention in the comments before the show started, thumbs up everyone, so thanks for the thumbs up, the likes, the subscribes, shares, of course the comments. I
think Shannon had a great idea.
Shannon says, Danny, maybe we could all do a challenge making awesome bags from other items. Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Yeah, what a cool idea, for sure.
I'm sure there's lots of things, neckties, I don't know, I like the idea of like uniforms and clothing made into
jeans. That's a really popular one that I do like is, when they turn, anyone can turn not anyone, but you can take a jean, you can go to a thrift store, buy some for an inexpensive amount of money, and turn it into a bag, and it looks pretty cool. I like it. Even keeping the back pockets and using it as an actual pocket. I've seen some bags, and it's very cool. Very creative people. Yep, for sure.
All right, so our bag lab for this week was not exactly an emailed submission.
Are we doing bag lab, sir?
Yes.
Well, you better hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
Because it's time. We're interrupting the show for a special report. Because now it is time for Bag Lab.
All right, so our bag lab tip for this week is something that I submitted myself. I noticed in the past 2 weeks we've been getting a lot of emails requesting help for printing PDF patterns, or customers that had challenges printing out their PDF patterns. And so I did a screen share video walking through just some basic tips for printing, making sure things are printed out correctly. And I also mentioned something to clearly avoid. So Danny helped me reconfigure the technology this week to make sure we were able to record a screen share video of my computer screen. So Danny's going to play that now and enjoy.
Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about how to download, open, and print your PDF patterns. This is especially important in preparation for printing out the pattern pieces. So we're going to be discussing some best practices as well as some things to definitely avoid to make sure that your pattern pieces print out correctly. So at least for So Sweetness patterns, there's 2 ways that you can download your pattern. The first way is if you made the purchase using your account on my website, you can log into your account and download the PDF files from there. An alternative method to that, which is available to everyone regardless if they use their account or not, everyone should receive an order confirmation email with a link to download the pattern, and you can download it from there as well. So I've downloaded a pattern to my computer, and the first thing that I'm going to talk about is one thing that you 100% should never do as far as when you're going to print your PDF patterns. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and if you take a look at this bar over here, you never want the PDF pattern to open in a web browser if you plan on printing the pattern pieces. So this is what that looks like over here. As you can see, this bar at the top, which looks similar to a web browser, you never want to print the PDF file from there. Even if the 1-inch square measures up, sometimes this distorts the pattern pieces, so they are either slightly smaller or slightly larger than they are supposed to be for that pattern. So how to print the pattern pieces. So you always want to use Adobe Reader. It's a free program that you can download to your computer or device, and you always want to have the most recent version. So if you're not sure if you either have it on your device or if you're not sure if you have the most recent version, all you need to do is Google Adobe Reader, and right here the free download is the first one, Adobe Acrobat Reader. This one right here, you just click it and it will just automatically download to your computer or device in the correct version. Right here it says I'm using Windows. If you're using something different, it'll automatically determine which system you're using and download the correct version to your device. Okay, so I'm also going to uncheck these two boxes over here, and then if you need to, you can get that download started. So I already have Adobe on my device, so I went ahead and opened it. There are ways to set it as a default so that when you open a PDF file, it always opens it up automatically in Adobe Reader, but I'm assuming that you might not have that set up on your device already, so we're just going to assume that you don't, and I've just gone ahead from my desktop and opened Adobe Reader. So I've got some of my patterns over here, but if you need to look for a different file, you just go to File, Open, and then you can browse on your desktop where you keep your pattern downloads. It might be in your download section. Again, I'm using a desktop computer. If you're using Apple or something else, yours might look slightly different than mine. So for this demonstration, I'm using the Tower Crossbody Bag, which is a free pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up on my desktop. Again, you can see the little Adobe icon in the top left-hand corner, and I'm going to go to print. So I'm going to select print over here. These are my printer settings. Yours might look not 100% the same as mine depending on your printer, but this is what mine looks like, and there's a few things that should be similar on all. So the first section over here, pages to print, so you can either select all of them, or for instance, if you only want to print the pages with the pattern pieces on them, in the Tower Crossbody Bag, in that case, it's the last two pages. So I'm just going to go ahead and select 12 and 13 since that's the last two pages of the pattern. So this little graphic over here shows a preview, and sometimes the preview is not 100% accurate for what you'll see when it comes printed out. So you always can test one page if you'd like before you print all of the pattern pieces. For this pattern, there's only 2 pages to print out, but some of my other patterns have more than 2 pages, so you can always do a test print for one of the pages. And when doing a test print, you can find the page with the 1-inch square and the 4-centimeter square for more accuracy, so you can measure them out before you print out all your pieces. So that's just optional. You can either print them all out or start with the page with the 1-inch square and the 4-centimeter square. This section over here, for all of my patterns, you always want to click the little box that says actual size. And again, your selections might vary, but generally my recommendation is to go with actual size so that your pieces print out as they design them. And sometimes people have issues with having either portrait or landscape checked, especially portrait. Sometimes pages get cut off when they get printed out. So I am always using this auto checkbox over here. So generally, those are the only things that you need to look for when printing out the pattern pieces. If you're printing and things are looking very wrong, I've had a couple customers in the past where they had to dig down a little deeper. So what I mean by that is go to properties, do sort of a deep dive and kind of visually glance at all of the settings and see that they're what you're looking for when you're printing, such as portraits. I think those are the main things to look for. But if you're having serious issues, you want to take a look at these other settings. I'm in the United States, so I'm using letter size paper, 8.5 by 11. If you're using A4 paper, that will work as well as far as my patterns go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and print this out. And one more thing before we move over to the overhead camera so that I can show you the pages. If at any time you're having difficulty printing out your pattern pieces, a good alternative if you're tired of fiddling with the printer on your computer or say your iPad, you can always attempt to download the Adobe app from your cell phone and print directly from a cell phone. So that's sort of a last resort method that we offer, because I do really want you to be able to get your pattern pieces printed out correctly. It will certainly make the sewing process a whole lot easier.
Okay, so here are my pattern pieces printed out, and here's that second page of the two with the 1-inch square and the 4-centimeter square. So like I mentioned earlier, you should always measure either the 1-inch square or the 4-centimeter square to make sure they measure exactly. So the square, whichever square you decide to measure, it shouldn't be slightly smaller or it shouldn't be slightly larger. It needs to be exact, and by exact I mean literally exact. It shouldn't be a hair less or a hair larger. Also in my current patterns, I have a few older patterns where I've used a different designing process, but all of the current patterns should have, if you'll notice on both of these pages, I have a rectangle, kind of a border surrounding all of the artwork in the center. And if you'll notice, my rectangle is centered. The rectangle is not pushed off to the left side or pushed off to the right side. It's in the center, and also the little black triangles. The triangles are here for taping the pattern pieces together. The black triangles are not cut off. You can see that the rectangle is continuous, and that includes the black triangle. So that's important as well. And some of the things that we talked about earlier, the settings especially, if some of those are incorrect, you might get some things like the triangles cut off or the rectangle pushed to one side or the other. So those are a few best practices for opening and printing out your pattern pieces. All right, hopefully that was helpful. And who even knows, as I was watching that video, I was thinking, you know, the way that technology works, in a couple years, will that even still look the same as far as the printer settings? I don't know. Anyway, let's get on to some
Ours, hopefully the audio's back. I think when I end show, it mutes it, and I unmuted it just now.
Oh, okay. So should I
So
say
everything
what?
you said, you got to say it again, sir. Starting from the very beginning.
Anyway, I'll try to catch up on what the muted portion missed. I'll be answering questions in just a minute.
I hope the sound came back because this is delayed.
Okay.
What a gaffaw that was. It should be okay.
Okay. Should I keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. And I also mentioned during the muted portion that on next Sunday's show...
It's back. Yay. It was working.
On next Sunday's show, I'll be discussing 2 different methods for increasing or decreasing your pattern pieces. Say if you like a particular bag or pouch and you'd like to make it either smaller or larger. Next Sunday will be a discussion of 2 different methods for how to increase or decrease. All right, I see everyone in the comments saying sound is back on. All right, great. All right, Danny, you want to put some questions up on the screen?
Make sure I don't hit the wrong button.
Joan says, having trouble on Safari and Chrome seeing posting to the blogs. Sent my entries to Bronwyn. Some days they work, some days they don't. It's weird. I'm having the same trouble. Some days I can see, Joan's referring to the sew along. I use something called a Linky tool, which allows people to post their little thumbnail pictures. And we've never had this problem before, but it seems like the Firefox web browser doesn't show, and then sometimes I'm having trouble with Google Chrome also. So if you're having any trouble with the sew along entries, feel free to email them to sarah@sewsweetness.com, and I'm happy to post them for you. Sorry for the trouble. We just, over the years, we've never been able to find a better solution for having a sew along and allowing people to post photos. For a few years, we conducted the sew alongs in Facebook, and people posted their photos in a designated album every week, but not everyone uses Facebook, so Facebook is not an ideal solution. And I guess the Linky tool, we're just doing our best, but there are definitely some negatives with that. Maribel says, Danny, thank you for fixing the sound. I was smacking my iPad around. That's really funny. Mary Lee says, how can you tell if your so long picture actually does post on the blogs? That's a good question. So after you post it, if you go back to the very same blog post and click it again, if you scroll down where all the little thumbnail pictures are there, yours should be there if it posted correctly. There's really not a delay, so if you just go back to the same post and scroll down, you should see yours there right away. If not, like I mentioned, feel free to email us and we can either post your photo for you and or we can check. Wendy says, I tried to use the Adobe app on my iPad and have trouble using paid patterns. I get an error that, yes, I don't have permission. Any ideas? Do you have any ideas about that?
Debbie does.
Oh, good. Debbie says, are you sure it's the Adobe Acrobat Reader? Try updating and rebooting.
You know, when you had your option in the video, it did have for the free and the paid Acrobat Reader. You know, there was two options.
There's two options.
So I'm wondering if maybe she chose the paid option and she's trying to open it.
Perhaps. I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, there's definitely, the top one is the one, when I had the screen share of the Adobe website, the top one was the one that's free. Joyce says, someone suggested logging into your account and it works for the Linky. Yeah, I saw that. I saw one or two people mention that also. Thanks for mentioning that on the show.
You could tell your dad is
this
not...
This is my dad. Hi from Chi-Town. Just want to wish Danny a big happy birthday. It's his birthday tomorrow.
I love the yelling text.
It is your birthday tomorrow, and we'll see what festivities will be happening on the day. Carla says, any tips for working with foam? I had a lot of movement when doing the sew along and found it hard to do an eighth of an inch, then a quarter of an inch seam question. So I'm not sure if you meant actually sewing the seams or just attaching the fabric to the foam interfacing. It could be a few. I'm running a bunch of different things through my head. So why don't you just email me after the show, and I'm happy to help you one-on-one. Just let me know the specifics. What exactly is happening? Is it when you're sewing seams? Is it when you're sewing through a curve? Let me know via email, and I'm happy to help. Sierra says, I have the zipper pocket template. How can I darken the numbers?
I have an idea. You can possibly, something I would try would be like a bar of soap that's a darker color, because if you use that and it doesn't work out, you can always wash it off. Initially, I thought maybe a crayon, but then once you get a crayon on there, it might be difficult to remove it. But I think a bar of soap that's darker could possibly work.
I never would have thought of that. That's interesting.
Someone says candles. But that'd be the same problem, I think, as...
No, I think she's talking about for your birthday.
Oh, okay. You know, I have a lot of people asking, like, how old am I? In the comments, I'd like you to guess my age.
Oh,
and I'll
that's
tell
a
you
good
guys.
one.
I'll tell you at
like
the end of the show, I'll tell you how old I am.
That's a good one.
Thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes.
As far as darkening the templates, I don't know. Do you think a thin Sharpie would work, or
That's
what do you
sort
think
of
about
permanent.
that?
It might be
It is
difficult to take it
permanent.
off, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just running that through my head. Jacqueline says, could the foam fabric pieces be quilted? Yes, for sure. And I actually have a free video on my YouTube channel. If you go to the Sew Sweetness YouTube channel and type in quilt fabric, I think that video should pop up, and it's also on my website under the bag making techniques section. It's just a shortish video demonstrating how to quilt fabric for your bag pieces. Judy says many Irish greens, maybe Irish green soap.
Irish Spring, I think, is the...
Oh, okay.
That's the same one I was thinking in my head. That's like the darkest soap I can think of.
That's a good idea, so then you can wash it off if you don't
Yeah,
like
just
it.
to test it. So if it did work, you could possibly use a crayon next. If it did darken it enough with the soap and you want a more permanent solution, I would use a dark crayon. But you can also use a marker. But I think a crayon would be better because it would give you... Because they are laser etched out, the acrylic. So there's actually like a little groove in there. And I think with a Sharpie or something, it would just be it would be see-through somewhat. But if you used a crayon, you could fill that whole groove with the wax, and then it would, cover it completely. So far, I only seen one correct answer. No, I've seen a couple. I lie. Vanessa has the right answer. Yvonne's got the right answer. Wendy's got the right answer. It's 42. I am 42 years of age. Thank you for everyone for the young guesses. I do appreciate it. The gray in my beard's starting to show a little bit.
My hair too.
Sarah's only 1 year
Top
younger
down.
than me, so I would ask you to guess her age, but I just gave it away.
All right. Let's see. This is in regards to Wendy's question from earlier. I used the free Adobe, then opened the PDF. It let me view but not print, said I don't have permission. That's interesting.
I wonder if you are lacking access to the permissions to your printer. Because you're using the Adobe and you can view it. If you can view it, I would assume you could print it.
Yeah, I've not had that personally happen to me before, so I'm not sure.
And printing from browsers, 25% off.
Angela had another tip.
Nail polish was an idea for the darkening as well.
I think putting round dot stickers on the back would be able to see them better.
It's not a bad idea.
And also, Jadine says rubbing alcohol will remove Sharpie ink.
Here's the
did not
problem
know.
with that. That's like on flat surfaces. I've had it before. I've heard even hairspray removes Sharpie ink and stuff, and I think turpentine's another one. Certain surfaces, even if it's not like a smooth surface, it's porous, it'll be difficult to get it out of it. Maybe with a toothbrush and stuff.
Oh, Jamie wants to know, is that a mini quilt on the wall behind you or a painting? It's a canvas print from Society 6, and I bought it a lot of years ago. So I don't recall the artist, but that was the website that I got it from. Mary Alice says, is there any hope as far as printing patterns and all you have is an iPhone connected to a printer? Do you know? Can you answer?
Is there any hope so far as printing patterns? I only have Isn't that, doesn't Bronwyn do something like that, printing?
Yeah.
So you would know more. I have no idea. I've never
Oh, I thought
printed
you might have
I've never printed from
more
a phone.
response. I know Bronwyn has printed PDF patterns using, just download the Adobe app from the Apple Store, and then you should be able to print the PDFs from the printer. I don't know the process after that, but it's possible. Teresa says, are there any plans to make a dog treat bag? There are. I have it on my list for hopefully to get to this year, sort of like a pet all-in-one pattern, lots of other things besides the dog treat bag. But yeah, that's definitely on the list for this year. Patty says, can't always tell by the gray hair. I started turning gray at 18. Oh, that's very
You know
interesting.
what's surprising is Sarah has more gray hair than me, as you can see.
Let's see. Sarah says, if you put crayon on the template, is there any fear of the crayon getting on the fabric?
Well, that's a good question too.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a really good. Unless you seal it with clear nail polish. But yeah, that's a good question. I think the dots are a great answer. The stickers.
Because then you can take them off.
Yeah, and it's not like coloring or changing. Using, if you are okay with using, say, the soap and you like it, maybe follow it up with nail polish sealant. Or even using nail polish. I wouldn't do it in the first place. Make sure it does work. Colored chalk instead of soap. I think it needs to be something that adheres to it somewhat, so it could fill in the gaps.
Liz says, does the yardage given in patterns include directional fabric, or if not, how much more fabric should be bought? It usually does. I think I have maybe a handful of patterns where the fabric requirement is a little bit more than the regular requirement for directional fabric, but I use a lot of directional fabric myself, so I usually will put it in the pattern if there's a difference, if using directional fabric will cost you a little bit more in fabric. Jan says, who is the artist that painted your horse and bearded dragon? It was Jen Brandon Studio. She has an Instagram account and a Facebook page. Let's see. Suzanne says, sorry, it sounded like you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, you can read it first, but I was hoping Suzanne may follow up if she uses an app to print from her phone.
Okay, yeah, Suzanne said, I print my patterns with an Android connected to my printer and prints out great.
Yeah, Terry has an issue with an iPhone printing to scale.
Terry says, printing from an iPhone is troublesome. It doesn't print to scale. That's interesting. I have not personally ever tried to print anything from my phone. Michelle says, I've been watching your videos for a while now. This is the first time catching live. Hi from Oregon. Well, I'm so
Thanks for
happy
joining
that
us.
you were able to catch us live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lori says, I don't have a problem printing from my iPhone.
Lori, what do you use? Do you just open the PDF in a certain application, then print from that?
Well, I'm glad. It sounds like this is getting a good discussion going, so I'm glad we did this video because I think I held off doing it for a while because I thought, I don't know, like, I'm sure people are printing their patterns, but...
I see a few people print from iPhone without any problems.
Okay.
Diana, Jeannie.
Okay.
You guys that are printing from the iPhone, what are you using once you have the PDF file? What do you open it with? What do you print from?
Okay.
Because I do see a lot of people say they're doing it.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, this is a good question. Wendy says, good pool bag patterns need large inside for all the stuff and a few outside pockets for sunscreen to avoid spilling inside. So
Clydebank tote.
The Clydebank tote, the large size would be really good for the pool especially. And also maybe the new opossum bag because it's a good size and there's pockets on the inside and outside. But between the two, the Clydebank tote, the large size, is the bigger of the two. Teresa says, does buckram hold up to washing? It should. I think I have a package over here. Let me see if I can read the manufacturer instructions. I'll be right back, Danny.
Well, Sarah does that. So to go over again what we spoke about with the template for coloring, I would suggest not using a crayon because that is correct. I think it would damage the fabric. But Diana says you don't want to put nail polish on acrylics. I'm wondering if the nail polish will eat at the acrylic. Unsure. So I'm thinking our suggestion would be test a safe area first, but a sticker may be the best solution or a marker if you feel it is working well.
I'm going to look up that buckram question real quick because actually I never really thought about it.
Naomi says, Sarah, what foot do you use in your videos?
I use the standard foot that came with my Juki. I don't know if I'm sure it has a name. I just don't know the name. It's a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch, so I generally use the markings on my sewing machine bed, the 1/4 inch marking, and if you'll notice, I usually have a little bit of pink polka dot washi tape, and I'll use that for the 1/2 inch marking.
Barb says for her iPhone, she just clicks on the print, and she never does, uses the
It's
Adobe.
probably set as a default, maybe, perhaps.
And some people, here's another thing too. There are many generations of iPads and there are many generations of iPhones. Maybe more current versions may have that incorporated into it, and people are having issues. I'm not saying you have an older generation, but that might be affecting is what operating system it's being run on. Apple products use AirPrint. Let's say this. Michelle says, Apple products use AirPrints. They require printers that are compatible with that protocol. That's very good to know.
Okay, so the buckram, the fusible buckram from Pellon can be machine washed and dried or dried cleaned. Do not use fabric softener. And that's from the Pellon website. Susie says, what is your email address?
Oh, I was waiting for that one to say the wrong one. I saved it, so hopefully it's static.
Yep, there's my email address. You can email me anytime. Another good question. How long does your live go? Since most of the questions are for me, I'll let you answer this one.
It's roughly 45 minutes. If we run out of questions, there's no other stuff needs to be addressed, we'll end it at that time. But generally 45 minutes, sometimes a little longer.
Yeah, we don't have a hard and fast schedule. Like when Danny looks at the clock, if it's 7:40, he's not like, all right, we're shutting everything down right this second. So Karen says, would love a swim bag pattern for wet bathing suits. Oh, that's a good, like a wet bag. Interesting. I'll write that down.
Yeah, Marion says the same thing. The default on iPhone and iPad she's using.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really think it's going to be the generation of iPad or iPhone you're using.
Linda says, I have problems with the black triangles being the same size and the curved lines don't line up. Any suggestions? I would say run through some of the things that we talked about in that video. And if you're doing everything as per the video and you're still having issues, feel free to email me. Jeannie says, open file, click share box. If your printer is Bluetooth enabled, you click print. You can also click share box, save to files, and then print from your files. Okay, interesting. That was for the iPhone? iPad? Gotcha.
Well, Laura says there's nothing, any of the crayons to get stuck in, no grooves in the ruler. The rulers actually do have little grooves where the laser etches it out for the text. You could put your, do you have a template here by any chance?
I do not. It's rough. It
Yeah,
feels like
you can feel it. If you take your nail and slide across it, you'll feel the little grooves. Someone said you can use acrylic paint that is water-based. I'll put it up. Mary said that.
And again, we haven't researched this. We're just kind of discussing.
Yeah, it's just spitballing ideas. You know, it's not saying, hey, this is going to work or not work. But I would definitely err on the side of caution if you're going to do something like this. Soap is a pretty safe way. Would you agree? To see if it would work?
I mean, yeah, because you could wash it
Yeah,
off, right?
and so if you put soap on it, you like it, I'd wash it off, clean it, and find a more permanent solution, such as a permanent marker.
Kim says, Sarah, do you use waterproof or wax canvas in your bags? I have talked about waterproof canvas on the show. I think I talked about the OtterTex waterproof canvas that I purchased on Etsy. I see tons of people in the So Sweetness Facebook group using waterproof canvas. The benefits for using that for your lining is that it's substantial enough that you don't have to generally use an interfacing. So you kind of save money on the interfacing and you save yourself time because you don't need to fuse Shapeflux interfacing to your lining fabric. I have used wax canvas on a few bags, not a lot. I try to stick with, especially when I'm writing a new pattern, I'm generally sticking with quilting cotton because it's more forgiving. With a new pattern, I'm often ripping seams and redoing measurements and things like that. And so I like to work with the most forgiving fabric as possible for that process. And that's not to say that other substrates can't be used for the bags or pouches, but that's just, I guess, to save my sanity a little when I'm working through corrections on a new pattern. Karen says ripstop would be great for wet bags. Oh, yeah, that is a good idea for a wet bag.
Elizabeth says she prints from the local library. That's cool.
Yeah, our library in Chicago had printers or computers and printers that you could use. And I think the printing fee was a small fee per page, maybe 5 cents or 10 cents. I'm sure libraries vary, but definitely a library is a great option for printing. Carrie says, do you have a pattern for a big dog harness? If not, can you? I'll write that on my list. Harness. Soap and Girl says, could always make one using mesh wet bag, maybe the stadium bag. Oh, that's a good idea. Or maybe some sort of drawstring bag. We do have the produce bag from Minikin season 2 if you wanted to make one with mesh, a wet bag with mesh. JC says, do you have a camera bag pattern? I do.
Ansel.
It's called, the Ansel camera bag, which
Sorry,
you can find
Russian.
on the
I
website.
just feel good when I know the answer.
Yeah. June says, from an iPad or iPhone, be sure your program is open in Safari. Okay, Sister Gina says, I use a Sharpie for all of mine. And then there was another question from Rebecca. I'm just learning bags. Do you sell hardware? We do. We have a hardware section on our website. You can go to sewsweetness.com. The product section, I think, is the first section, and then there's a sub-tab for hardware.
You know, just interesting, if you guys would say if you use an Android or an iPhone, I just wanted the demographic of what is a more popular phone that you are printing from. Not just what you own, but you're actually printing from. Because maybe I have an iPhone, and I could probably do a screen recording of that and print it and see if it works out. That'd be like the best option I can offer.
Wendy said, "Are you taking a summer break?" Perhaps. Not sure yet. Still discussing. Yep, Val. Great minds think alike. Val said, "Can you use the Bodega grocery bag from Minikin Season 2 for a wet bathing suit?" Yeah, that would be great for. You know what? I think it would work with not only mesh per the pattern, but when my kids were little, we used cloth diapers, and I had a couple of wet bags in different sizes, and it was basically a drawstring bag like the Bodega bag, but with like a waterproof fabric. I don't know if Joann Fabrics still has a cloth diaper making section, but they did a few years ago, and that's the type of fabric that would be good for a wet bag. So either the mesh or the PUL fabric would be another name for it. SkyTech Bit says, "How do you spell the camera bag pattern?" It's
ANSEL.
Gosh, need some water. Sorry. Kelly says, "My grandmother turns 100 July 2nd. Wow, that is amazing. Any ideas for a bag for her? She already has a small crossbody bag." So let me turn this over to all of you watching. What bag would you suggest for Kelly to make for her grandmother? I was thinking, okay, so she already has a small crossbody bag. Before I read that, I was going to suggest the Tower crossbody bag, but that kind of crosses that one out. So let me know in the comments what your suggestion for Kelly would be. Michelle says, "Is soft and stable softer than inner form?" That's a great question. So inner form is made by Bozal, and I feel like it's a denser foam, meaning like, I don't want to say stiff because it's still foam and it's not technically stiff, but it's more dense than the by Annie soft and stable. I see a lot of comments coming through about the suggestions.
I'll
for
put
the
this on the
bag.
screen so it's
Oh,
easier
okay.
as well. Thank you for that, Linda.
Oh, this is a good. Oh.
No, this is a better question.
Sarah, are you making Danny a cake? I will be making him a cake in the morning. Since the kids are off school tomorrow, I'm planning for him to sleep late, and so I will have plenty of time to make a cake.
You know, usually on the weekend I do wake up around like 12 to 2, you know, that general range. That's noon till 2 p.m. And
Do you want to
yesterday,
tell them what time you woke up today? Came downstairs.
well, I woke up at 1:30, and I took a bath after I woke up, and I came downstairs like 2:30, 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, yesterday William went to a friend's for a birthday, and I went by a friend's house who's the fireman I spoke of earlier, and I just hung out with him, and we played bags, and William got done, and he's like, "We're going to go to the park and play basketball." I'm like, "I'll come over there, and I'll wait, and we'll leave afterwards." So I ended up playing with the kids, and man, did I pay for it this morning. When I woke up, my foot was like plantar fasciitis, and so it felt like bruises. So I'm sitting there in bed just putting my foot on the wall and stretching it out as much as possible, and it helped a ton. That's why I took a bath when I woke up as well. I was beaten up.
Elaine had, I'm sure there were a lot of good suggestions coming through. Elaine said, "I made the Baker Street bag for a 90-year-old, but I did change the straps to a crossbody."
When it says you don't get up until noon, that is only on Saturday and Sunday. Monday through Friday, I do get up at about 8:15 a.m. because I have an alarm, and because I drive Violet to school. But you know, summertime's coming, so we're gonna see what happens with that schedule.
I'm afraid. Right, here's another suggestion from Michelle. Michelle said, "I made this small promise ring backpack for my auntie so she can attach it to her walker."
Connie says, "Danny, you're a night owl like my son." Yes, I'm very much a night owl. I don't like mornings. I love nights. I could stay up till the sun comes up. I don't do it, but I can. You run on my schedule. I've been retired since 2010. And me and you would be good friends. I got to get Sarah in our schedule. William's close, could possibly do it.
Yeah, but if I am on your schedule, who's going to take care of Mikey?
We all sleep for 8 hours and take care of him
No.
when we wake up. He's up with us till we go to bed.
No. That's a good one for a bag. Pat says, my mom is 98 and she loves the Tudor bag I made her. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. And Clovis wants to know, do you have a favorite cake?
That'll be our last comment or question.
Okay.
I do have a favorite cake, and I have a few favorite cakes, but one stands out most. I'm probably the odd one in the bunch. I like whipped cream frosting, by far.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah's a buttercream frosting, which I really don't even care for. I do eat it because I'm a sugar tooth kind of person, but I like whipped cream frosting. I like shaved almonds for the outside of the whipped cream frosting. Usually like yellow cake, batter in the middle. And I do like bananas and strawberries. Bananas and strawberries in the layers of the cake. Once again, whipped cream outside.
Well, we have
shaved almonds.
we have all of those things except for the strawberries, so maybe I'll
I'll
just
go to the store tonight. Don't worry about that.
Okay, sounds good.
No, sometimes when you put fruit in cake, it ages quickly, so you don't get to enjoy it for a whole entire week like
you
I
could just
do.
have it in a bowl on
Add
the
it
side
yourself.
and just add it. Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to deal with them.
I
But-
totally agree.
I see people love whipped cream, which is great. I don't feel so alone because I'm the only one in our family that likes whipped cream. So we don't get that as much.
All right, so now for the giveaway for tonight. The giveaway prize is
Drum roll.
stack of sewing books.
Whoa.
Actually, they feel quite heavy now that I'm holding
6
them in my
books?
hand. Yep.
That's a good giveaway.
So it will be one randomly drawn winner. You have until the end of the day this Saturday to leave a comment on this show in the comments, either on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you watch. We compile all the comments together, and it's a random draw. And I'll announce the winner on next Sunday's show. And I have an extra bonus question for you that you can answer in the comments for an extra method of entry, and that is, who's your favorite fabric designer? And I have a sort of little add-on. You want to did you put it into the key or no? I have a little
You
add-on.
saw it earlier when I hit all those buttons
If
accidentally.
you're not familiar with fabric designers or you don't follow them, instead of fabric designer, you can let me know in the comments your favorite like style of fabric. When you go to the store, what are you looking for? Like blue fabrics, fabrics with flowers, fabrics with turtles. So either one, either fabric designer or like theme of fabric, let's say. What's your favorite style of fabric and or designer?
I got 3 that come to mind really quick. Tula Pink, Allison Glass, Anna Maria Horner.
Okay, those are a good 3 for me
What about
as
you?
well. Yeah.
Oh, Sarah, you got to be original.
Okay,
Those are off the board
those
now.
will be my first 3, and then I'll add 3 more on there. Sarah Watts, Katerina Rochella from Art Gallery
Katerina
Fabrics.
Rochella. I'm not seeing any of her, if she has any
Yeah,
kind of fabric.
she does.
I
all
love
the
her
time.
fabric. She does very unique combinations, which I like.
And for my third one, I'll say, oh shoot.
Easy. Sarah, you forgot this one. You're a typewriter lady, and she runs the
Melody
Ruby Star,
Miller.
Melody Miller.
Melody Miller.
There's so many good designers.
Tim Holtz, Achino. So I could go on, but I'll stop my list at that. All right. Thank you so much for watching Sewcial Sunday. We hope you have a great week with some nice weather. Happy sewing.
Take care,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye.